So Trump fired chick of the FTC, right? I guess her name's probably Rebecca Slaughter. Yeah, Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter. And she was like, "You can't fire me." And the court's like, "Yeah, you can't." And Trump's like, "Why can't I fire executive branch?" I go, "You can't do it." She's like, "That's right. I'm coming back to work." And so she did. She came back to work. So it's getting challenged up to the Supreme Court. And basically in 1935, it's Humphrey's executor versus the United States. In the New Deal era, FDR. So once again, it'll be a time for Trump to compare himself to one of the biggest government corrupt commie type presidents to ever be. FDR wanted to fire someone also from the FTC. And the guy was like, "You can't fire me." Because there's rules. You could only fire somebody for, I don't even know if it's in here, but it was basically you can only fire somebody for being negligent or, yeah, it's not in here. You can only fire somebody if they were negligent or something like that. They gave like a very clear, like 2 or 3 reasons you could fire somebody. Or the president could fire someone at the FTC. And so this guy was like, it doesn't count. Like Humphreys, the whole time until he died, he goes, "I'm still a commissioner of the FTC." He claimed it. And, I guess back then it was, I guess you just stay in your office and work. He didn't get paid. So after he died, though, the executive of his estate sued the United States. They're like, "You owe back pay," because he was not legally fired. He was employed that whole time. And the court found in favor of the executor of Humphrey's estate and said that because it was the quasi-legislative, quasi-judiciary branch of a somewhat independent part of the executive branch, that the chief executive could not just fire people and needed congressional approval or whatever. This was a time when conservative justices were trying to stop FDR anytime they could, but it was unanimous 9-0 vote, which is kind of crazy. Though one of the people that voted yes also kind of dissented in a weird sort of way. But anyway, so it looks like this is going to get overturned. We have like the Gorsuch, Clarence Thomas. Oh shoot, I just blanked on his name. It's like Alito's gone, right? And so it's oh shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Even our Chief Justice, he votes sometimes with the left, sometimes with the right, or I guess sometimes people consider conservative and liberal justices. He can be all over the place. He's like on top of like the more quote unquote conservative justices. This guy is saying like, "Yeah, I don't see how we could have a branch that is quasi-legislative." Gorsuch came out and said that. He goes, "There's no such thing in the Constitution as quasi-legislative branch. There's no fourth branch of government. There's no quasi-judiciary." And so this is coming up, and it's looking like it's going to get overturned, which would mean that the president will once again have the power to fire anybody in the executive branch, which to me makes sense because it's the executive branch, and he's the head of the executive branch. And I think it's ridiculous when you can't fire somebody. Like, you have to be able to fire somebody. Brett Kavanaugh, let's see. "Your position would allow Congress to create independent agencies, maybe converting some of the existing executive agencies into independent agencies with no political balance requirements with a long term, say 10 or more years, and with the chairs not subject to removal as chair," said Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh looks like he's opposed to it. So this thing will be interesting. It'll be good to overturn this. It will be something that, just because you get appointed doesn't mean you're going to have the job more than 4 years. And I don't know how that's going to affect the applicants. Maybe we should shut down the departments, though. Maybe that'll be a thing. Just shut them down.